to start today's session.
Okay, thank you very much, Layla. I guess I'll do the introductions. I'm Leslie King. I'm the program head of the program that we're talking about today, the Science and Policy of Climate Change. And I'd like to introduce Rob Newell, who is the professor in the first course of the climate certificate. And he is our Canada Research Chair in climate, biodiversity, and sustainability, or words to that effect. I'd also like to introduce our school manager, Rhett Reilkoff. Hi, Rhett. And thanks, Layla. We can move along. Yes, I'll take a minute and acknowledge the spectacular traditional territory of the peoples on whose land we are now at Royal Roads. These are the Lekwungen speaking peoples, the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations, and we're probably the only university in Canada who have acknowledged and ceded ownership of the land back to the original owners and stewards of the land. And so we're very proud of that, and we're very grateful to the Lekwungen speaking ancestors and families who are the stewards of the lands on which Royal Roads rests. Thank you. Haichka. Thanks, Layla. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Royal Roads, about the graduate certificate in the Science and Policy of Climate Change, and a little bit about the application process and questions that you have. I hope you'll have questions, and I hope you'll ask them as we go along. It would be great if you could also share where you're coming from, what your interests are, what your job is if you're working, and why you're here in this webinar. And I hope that we'll see you actually in the program. Thank you, Layla. Rhett? Go ahead, Rhett, take it away. You're muted.
Muted.
I just muted. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so thanks, Leslie. Yeah, just to talk a bit about why you might think about coming to Royal Roads for the certificate or other education. So there's a few things that make Royal Roads different. Like we say, we see life as a qualification. A lot of times you have smaller class sizes, so you really get to know who your professors are and your fellow students, learning based on life. So I mean, there's a lot that comes into the classroom, and a lot of the learning is practical and experiential based, and the professors are often practitioner scholars, so they're bringing that experience into the classroom. So it's not just strictly academic. There's a lot of stuff that, like we say, brings life into the classroom. Connections for life, like we said, you get to know your professors really well. You get to know them on a first name basis. Same thing with the students in your cohort. There's a lot of teamwork, a lot of community building, and you make connections for life, really. So you have a really great network to rely on and have connections with after you're done your education here. And I can speak for myself. I've done a program here, and I still keep in touch with many of my fellow students that I was in my program with, and we keep in touch, and a lot of people have made job connections and such based on that. So very high rates for the alumni, saying how positively the experience has influenced their personal and professional lives. We have a great student support network, so if you ever need anything to help you through your program, we have a great support network that's available to you. And again, great alumni experience. 90%, 89% say that the program was very good for them. And we might even talk a bit about what some of the alumni are doing later. So we've actually just shot a video for this program recently, and we had one of our alumni come in. So hopefully we'll have that video to share soon as well. So yeah, next slide. Leslie, do you want to talk about the Changemaker campus? No, you're muted as well too.
Perpetual problem. Royal Roads is one of the few, I think, 5 universities in Canada who has the Ashoka U Changemaker campus designation. And that is because we actually educate for action. And in our case, for climate action and environmental action. And this is a very important designation for us because we see all of our students as change makers. Go ahead, Leila. I'm not going to turn my mic off now. Okay, so today we're talking about the Graduate Certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change. And as all of you on this call know very well, climate change is the biggest problem facing the planet today. And along with associated problems such as the loss of biodiversity. And so this program is designed to prepare climate professionals to address climate change in a number of different organizations and venues. Leila, thank you. So the graduate certificate is a 3-course program. So that's 9 credits. We offer it in partnership with Eco-Canada because, of course, Eco-Canada has their finger on the pulse of the environmental sector in Canada and the needs of employers in Canada. This program is entirely online. You take all those 3 courses virtually, but it's not like a correspondence course. It's a very interactive experience where you interact with your professors and with your fellow students in the class. And the courses start and end on a particular day. They're sequential in this program. So the program can be taken as a standalone certificate. At the end, you get the certificate, or as part of the master's degree in environmental practice. If you take it as part of the master's degree, the 9 credits transfer into the MEP program, and at the end, you receive both credentials. So you get the graduate certificate and the master's degree for no extra cost or credits. So it's a pretty good deal. I like it. So the courses are also available as electives in a number of graduate programs at the university. The MBA, the MGM, Masters in Global Management, the MEM program, Environment and Management, and the MA in Interdisciplinary Studies. So this is probably a really useful credential, both in terms of your university education and in terms of you as an environmental professional. Okay, thanks. Next slide. Who is it for? So people with undergraduate degrees in environmental subjects, which of course cover a broad range of topics, or who come from a different subject but want to transition into the environmental field. And for environmental professionals, those who want training in climate science and policy. The program is designed for people with any background, really. It's hard for me to imagine a background that is not relevant to environment and climate change. And yet you know, there are very few credentials in Canada for environmental or actually for climate professionals. So this is either the first or certainly one of the first. The program's been going for about 4 years, Rob. Is this the fourth or the fifth year? I lose track.
Fifth year, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So any environmental professional or practitioner or anyone who wants to transition out of their current field into the climate field is welcome in this program. And we do have a lot of mid-career professionals who take the program, people who are already working in the field but want the credential. Next slide, please. The program can be completed in less than a year. It starts off with a course that everyone who comes to the university takes. It's also online, Introduction to Academic Integrity. And then the 3 courses are, the first course is Science and Impacts of Climate Change. The second course is Climate Policy and Governance. And the third course is an experiential practicum in climate. And I teach that course, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But I'd like to ask Rob to talk a bit about the first course, the Science and Impacts of Climate Change.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Leslie. So I have just 4 points that I wanted to make about the course, just to give you a flavor of what the education's like and how we approach the subject. First, the course is interdisciplinary, so you end up learning a lot about the science of climate change around climate data, climate models, but you also learn other aspects of climate change in terms of, for instance, how climate change and biodiversity loss are 2 interlinked global challenges. Also, you learn things that relate to the social sciences of climate change, like around climate justice and the social justice implications of climate change. So it is interdisciplinary, and we look at this issue from multiple different angles. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that climate change is an evolving topic, and every year we learn more about it, and every year we have new challenges that we see that's happening in the real world. So one of the things that we try and do is try and allow you to apply your knowledge to current issues. And through that, we have forum discussions where we'll bring in articles that were just released within the last week or so, just so that you can apply your knowledge, not just learn about it, but apply it to what's actually happening in the world now. So that's another approach that we bring in there. I also think it's worthwhile to mention that we try and play with a bunch of different digital tools to vary your experience in terms of the activities and assignments that you do, and also just to try and broaden your knowledge on how to communicate your ideas and engage in the materials. So this includes using tools to create system snaps to map the impacts of climate change. We also do these conference presentations. So you'll do things like video recording and be able to create videos, present on a research topic. As I mentioned, we do forum discussions. So it's not just the typical, we're going to write papers and do test things. We're trying to expose you to a lot of different tools and techniques for being able to engage in learning and share your ideas. And the point that I really want to make is something that Leslie alluded to before. We have people of all different walks and backgrounds that come into this course. We don't shy away from the science. We're going to give you a healthy dose of science. We want to be able to give you an idea of why people know what they know about the climate change issue. So we look into the data and models, but at the same time too, you don't have to be someone who's coming from a Bachelor of Science background to engage in this course. And the way we do that is you learn about a lot of these things, but when it comes to doing your major research projects and assignments, you have some flexibility in how you do your assignments and what sort of topics you look at. So we've had like a wide range. People have looked at things like the policy of climate change, impacts around wildfires, spiritual dimensions around climate change, some social cultural implications of climate change, communications of climate change. So there's a whole wide variety of topics that you can apply your learning to. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you're kind of concerned about not having the background of this course, you do. So and we'd be happy to have you in the course. All right, thank you, Leslie. Back to you.
We've never left anyone behind. Could you go back one slide, please, Leila? Thank you. So the second course, called Climate Policy and Governance, deals with policy solutions to climate change at many, many different levels. So from the local level to the global level. And it's a wonderful course taught by Alistair Moore. And you learn a lot about practical solutions to climate change from the individual level, as I said, to the global level. Then the final course is called Climate Solutions. You might question whether there's such a thing as a climate solution, but this is the experiential part of the program. Students select an organization that is dealing with climate change, and they identify a supervisor in that organization. It can be in the organization you're already working in, but I do like you to do a special project that, so you learn something new. And basically the students help the organization deal with climate change, and also they learn about what the organization is doing to address climate change. And we've had a huge variety of placements in this course, from NGOs, educational projects, government projects, international projects. And this is a wonderful opportunity for students to develop their network, their professional network, and get their feet wet on the ground. The program is really designed for working professionals. So if you are already working, you will be able to complete these courses in addition to your regular job. And I think that we have had many people working in the field successfully complete this program. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you want to apply for this program, you would get in touch with our admissions advisors, and they are wonderful, and they will help you through the whole process. Rhett, do you want to talk about the application process?
Yeah, sure. Could you advance the slide, Leila? Just not sure. Okay, no, we don't have too much information there. Yeah, so as far as application goes and admission requirements, there's sort of two models that we have for admission. There's standard admission, so that would mean coming in having completed a 4-year or a comparable undergrad degree from a recognized post-secondary institution, and generally a minimum GPA of a B average is required. We'd also like to see 2 years of relevant work or volunteer experience. And if you don't meet the GPA requirement, that's okay. You can still come in, but we do have students do what's called an academic writing and critical thinking course prior to coming in, just to make sure that, you know, people have the chance to sharpen up on their academic writing skills and just some of those pieces that will prepare you for the program. And if you don't have the undergrad degree, not to worry. We also have a flexible admission model. So this would look like something of having, you know, a lot of work experience. Generally, we look at having 6 years of relevant work experience or some equivalent combination of education experience. So maybe you have, maybe not a 4-year undergrad, but some type of education and work experience. So we look at that. And then also too, you know, students also often ask if their education or work experience is applicable. But I think with this program, specifically climate change touches on so many things and has so many dimensions to it that I think we'd find it hard to not relate someone's educational background or work background to find that it doesn't touch on some aspect of climate change. So if you don't think that you have you know, the background or the experience or whatnot, or to apply to the program, I'd suggest that you get in touch with us anyways and chat about it, because I think there's so many things that touch on climate change nowadays that you could find that this program would be applicable to almost any field of work these days. So is that right, Leslie?
Yep, yeah, absolutely right. Every dimension, from the human dimensions, as Rob said, the spiritual dimensions, the environmental justice dimensions, all of the science, the emissions monitoring, and every field imaginable. It would be hard for me to imagine anything that is not relevant to this field. Thanks.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have students who have all kinds of backgrounds. So yeah, definitely get in touch if you have any questions around that. And as far as dates that are coming up, so the next intake will be in January 5th, 2026 will be when the next program starts. And then you can see we have an application deadline of October 5th. So that's kind of the deadline that we like to have people get their, their documentation in, their application in. But, if you happen to go past the deadline, we do allow people to come into the program after that deadline. But that deadline is just kind of when our web sort of portal for applications and things sort of closes, but we still can get into the program if you are interested and you're sort of past that deadline. So just get in touch with us, and we can make sure that we get everything together for you so that you can come in for that January intake.
It's also a good idea to start the application process, even if you don't have your documentation or the things that you need for the application before that deadline. But again, exactly as Rhett says, this is not a hard and fast deadline. We still let people into the program. It starts in January of each year, and I'd hate to have people have to wait a long time to get in just because they were a week past the deadline.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next slide. Go ahead, Rhett.
Yeah, sure. So this is as far as how to apply. So it's an online application. Some of the documents that you would need would be some of your official transcripts. So if you went to university or college somewhere, you would get those transcripts and submit that as part of your application. We also ask that you would submit a resume, personal statement. So that'd be something around why you're interested in the program, why you think it'd be a good fit for you, and your intent as far as taking the program. And that doesn't have to be long, maybe a page, less than a page, a couple paragraphs, something like that. It's not too detailed. And then 2 letters of reference. So this could be professional or personal. Let me double check on that as far as the references go. Reference letters. Yeah, we'd like to see 1 based on work experience and then 1 maybe that's related to academic performance. But I think kind of as we said before too, with the flexible admission, that the letters of reference could be as well kind of flexible to your situation. So yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, so I kind of went over this earlier. Standard admissions for your undergrad, having a minimum GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution, and then at least 2 years of relevant work or volunteer experiences. And then, yeah, if you don't meet that GPA requirement, you would normally be required to take our academic writing and critical thinking course several weeks prior to starting. So this is kind of just like a prep course. It's not too intensive, and it's actually very helpful just to help sort of help sharpen up your writing skills and critical. Actually, we recommend like a lot of people to take this course, even if they meet the requirements. And a lot of people actually will just take this course as a standalone course if they need to sort of prep and get better with their academic writing skills. So,
especially if you get out of the academic environment for a while.
Exactly, yeah. If you've been out of the school for a while and you're a bit nervous before coming back in, definitely something that you can take and help you feel prepped to come in. Next slide. Yeah, and then again, flexible admissions. Leslie, do you want to chat to this one a bit, just as far as like some of the flexible admissions that you've seen from applicants?
Yeah, this is a wonderful aspect of admissions at Royal Roads because it recognizes that people, especially people who are working in the field, may not have the exact requirements of the program, but we are very happy to have people who are experienced professionals or who have volunteer experience or any other kind of experience that is relevant to the program, which, as we said, is almost all experience. So the flexible admissions is a wonderful aspect at Royal Roads. And I think it really enables people who are really excellent students in the program. Once you're into the program, nobody knows whether you're flexible or standard admission. And all the students who've taken this program are wonderful. There are English language requirements for admission at the university. And I don't know if we have anyone on the call who would need to meet those requirements. But that's something else to think about. And I strongly recommend this academic writing and critical thinking course. Apparently it's a really great course. So that, you don't have to be flexible admission to take that course. It's a continuing education course. So it's not, it doesn't have a big admission fee like the regular courses. Thank you. Go ahead, Rhett.
So like I mentioned a bit earlier, there's a lot of support for students coming in. If financial resources or the tuition might be a problem for you, there are bursaries and scholarships, other awards available that you can apply for, research scholarships. And again, during the program, if life happens and emergencies happen to you and prevent you from your studies for financial reasons, there is emergency funding available for situations like that. And like I said, yeah, good student support staff here to help, whether it's academic related or just, like I said, things happening in life related. There's a really good student support crew here at the university to help at any stage of the program, really, before the program starts, during. So you're well supported here. And then if you want to learn more about just enrollment, anything as far as application or admission or connecting, maybe to talk to a former student of the program to, see if it might be the right fit for you, we can connect you with an alumni to talk to. So there's the email address there and the phone number there, so you can get in touch and find out more if you have any questions on that end of things. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So if you have any questions that we don't deal with in this webinar, don't hesitate to email me. There's my email address at the bottom of the screen. And I'd be delighted to talk to you about the program. I love this program. The students are very enthusiastic about it. And almost all the students who've taken this program, and in fact, I think all are working in the field. So it's a great program, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Rob, do you have anything else you'd like to add about the program?
Yeah, I think the one final point that it'd be worth mentioning is that nowadays online education is quite common. I think some folks still kind of get a sense that you might not have that same sort of interactive experience and that feeling that you get to know your students in an online setting. But we do a lot of things in our programs and our classes to try and encourage that sort of interaction and collaboration. And a lot of the students that we've chatted with feel like they don't feel isolated. They do actually feel like they've gone through the program and have developed a student community there. So this would include things like, have those forum discussions online. We do actually have some teamwork. So you'll actually end up connecting with some classmates and teammates, to do some assignments, kind of like you do in a lot of professional settings where people need to work in different time zones and work online. We also have these drop-in sessions where they're called office hours, but truthfully they're just an opportunity for folks to get together and have a real-time chat, by video conference. And this is just a nice way of people being able to discuss some ideas that have come up in the course, discuss things that might be going on in their own home communities and how the learning applies to them. And it just sort of keeps everyone connected. So I just want to put that forward that, the online aspects makes it flexible in terms of your schedule, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sacrifice that element of, feeling like you're part of a class and together, because our students do feel that way.
Yeah, I love the way our students forge relationships throughout the program that last forever. And I love the way they get to know each other really well. They help each other with their careers and projects, etc. They form a real community. Thanks, Rob. And thanks, Rhett. I'm sure we have questions out there. Layla, any questions?
We do. We've had a few come in, so I'll just read them out for you. The first one we got said, I'm a little bit confused about the process using the graduate certificate courses towards the MEP. Do you have to commit to doing the full MEP to get both the graduate certificate and the MEP?
No. That's a very short answer, but thanks for that. That's an excellent question. So the deal is you can take it as a standalone certificate. If you take it and you get to the end of it and you decide you want to keep going in the MEP, you can do that and transfer the credits into the Masters in Environmental Practice. Or you can start with the MEP and decide you want to specialize in the climate aspects, and so then you take the climate certificate as part of the program. Or you finish the MEP and you decide you want that that certificate, and you can do it then as a sort of a postgraduate specialty. So there are many ways you can do this. You can start out just with the first course, decide whether you want to do the rest of the program, or you can enroll in the whole program, the 3 courses to begin with, or you can go straight into the Masters in Environmental Practice. So it's very flexible how you deal with this. And at the end, then you apply for both credentials. So, you know, you're not going to give up those no matter which option you take. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Leslie. There's just a little bit of a follow-up to that one as well. They were saying it's possible to do the graduate certificate first and the MEP later on, like a couple of months or potentially years later on, if you decide that MEP is necessary for your career.
Yep, you can do that, and then you can still transfer those credits in. The MEP is a 30-credit program, so 9 credits is a significant chunk of that program that you basically get your master's for those credits for free, and you get both credentials. So yes, the answer is yes. Thanks, Layla. Is that clear? I feel funny not being able to interact with the questionnaire.
It seems like it's clear. I'll let you know if a response comes in though, but we have more questions coming in, so that's really exciting.
Okay,
this
great.
one's, is there a PhD on climate policy? This topic has always been an interest of mine. I have a master's in climate change, and at the moment I'm finalizing my thesis on energy poverty for a master's in public policy.
Brilliant. That's a great topic. Thank you very much. We have 2 PhD programs at Royal Roads. One is an interdisciplinary applied social sciences doctorate, and the other is the DBA, the doctorate in business administration. I have nothing to do with that one. But the applied social science one, it's up to you how you focus your studies. So you could do your PhD in climate, climate studies, climate change, whatever, through that program. I don't think there are any focused doctoral programs in Canada solely on climate change. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know. Waterloo, obviously, you can focus your master's program there. I don't know about the PhD program. Rob, do you know?
No, I don't know of any in Canada. I mean, obviously, a lot of people do climate policy topics through their political science or geography or other PhDs, but I don't know one that specifically has that title. Yeah.
So I have several PhD students here at Royal Roads. I have a little cadre of environmentally focused PhD students. And a couple of those are totally focused on climate change. So that is possible. Thanks.
We received a thumbs up to that response, so I
Yeah,
think you're doing
good.
This next one says, does the university provide any assistance to students in the third course as it relates to finding an organization, particularly if a student is unable to independently find a suitable organization to work with? Does
Yeah.
the university guarantee an opportunity will be provided?
Yeah, okay, there are several ways that we can help students with that. All of the professors in the program, Rob, myself, and Alistair, help students find, and Rob often ends up supervising a couple of students in his research programs. And also we have a unit, a work integrated learning unit on campus, and they will help students find placements if they're unable to. And generally, I just talk to the students and make suggestions about where they can go. And I have never had anyone not find a placement. Everyone always finds a placement. So that's not something I think you should worry too much about. We'll help in any way that we can. Thanks. Eco Canada also has some opportunities for placements. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. A couple of things to maybe just add on there, as Leslie was mentioning. Yeah, often. So I have a Canada Researcher program, so I mean, there's often a lot of little tasks here and there that I could use in research support. So I've definitely picked up a few interns that way. But we also have more Canada Research Chairs at Royal Road. So I mean, if there's an interest in doing placements in research, there'll often be like these sort of little research tasks that could use some support on. In other cases too, I've definitely chatted with some students about options, and they've used this as an opportunity to try and get themselves their foot in the door for trying to transition their job. So you could really sort of look at it as that opportunity, and students start thinking about this in the first course. And we've had these conversations and discussions about doing this early on, so they can start thinking about which organizations they can reach out to see if they can make those sort of transitions. And then in other cases, we have actually had many students that will do placements in other departments in the place that they actually work at, right? So there could be other ways of being able to like break down those silos and try and figure out what's going on in the department down the hallway for you from you. So that's kind of another thing I want to throw out there. So hopefully with all those different approaches and options, it'll give you a sense that like as Leslie said, we've never had a student not be able to find a placement, because there are definitely a lot of ways you can approach this.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of students do it in their place of employment where they're already employed. But as I said, I really like them to do something different. So if it's in a different unit in the organization, that's great. And usually the students work with their designated supervisor to figure out what they're going to do and how they can be of most use to the organization. I think that was a long-winded answer to that question, but Layla, others?
Yes, we just have 3 more questions that have come in.
Right.
This one says, my background is a BSc and then a master's in public health, specializing in health promotion. Since then, I've worked for 10 plus years as an evaluation and facilitation consultant with nonprofits, not
Great.
directly linked to climate action. Does this cert have any focus on carbon offsets and the politics around them?
Yes, of course. I might let Rob answer that, but you have a wonderful background for this program. I love the health aspects of it. Go ahead, Rob. Talk about carbon offsets.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of like the course that we teach, it's not like a specific topic that comes up, but it is actually part of, we've had a number of students do it as their final research project. So that for that course. So as I was mentioning, there's like a wide range of different topics you can focus on, and in the end, what we do is we have this final assignment where you create a brief, like we'll do a research project, and then create like a brief report on the research project, and then also a presentation. And this can cover like a wide range of things. And so a lot of folks, a lot of the students would do something that interests them, and also something that can help them advance their knowledge in their position and their career professionally. So in this case, there might be a certain piece around carbon offsets that you might want to look into and like kind of improve your knowledge on, and then you can do a deep dive into it through this sort of research project. So that'd be the way to actually look at it, or that'd be kind of a way to approach it. The second course in the series is around climate governance. So those are the types of topics that you'll probably get into more in that course, but it is certainly something that we can still touch upon and look at, and if you want, do a deep dive into in the first one, in the science and impacts of climate change.
Yeah, that's right, Rob. And I think, we've had many students come through who've really focused the whole program on the thing that they're interested in the climate field. And so certainly, in the first course, you could do something on carbon offsets. In the second course, you could do something on carbon offsets. And then you can do your placement on it in the end. So, the program's very flexible for you to really focus it the way you want to.
We've had a lot of students also take their presentations and share them with their colleagues and the workplaces. So we're trying to design this in a way that the research projects and the things that you do are not just make work projects, but things that you can actually apply to your professional or personal life, depending on how you want to do it.
Yep, great, well said. Ayla.
Perfect. And
we're answering your questions.
Yeah. We're getting thumbs up from the people asking them. So
okay, great.
Heading in a good direction. This one says, are there any alumni or current students willing to share their experience with the program, perhaps through another webinar or email?
Yes. Yes.
We have a video that we just recorded on that will be coming out. Rhett, do we have a target timeline for when that might be produced?
I don't know, but it's going to Eco Canada right now for editing, so it'll be up on their website and our website eventually. I don't know, maybe a month or two. I have no idea. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you can also, like on one of the previous slides, it mentioned reaching out to enrollment services. So maybe we can just make sure we share that email and phone number again with everybody after the webinar, because you can request to get in touch with alumni from the program. So that's a bit of a feature that we have where you can arrange to talk with somebody and really just ask any questions you might have of somebody who took the program. So it's a really good way of learning more.
And this webinar and the webinars on the MEP have also had students, alumni come in and talk on those webinars, some of which are posted on our website, the Royal Roads website. The one we just did had one alum, Leighton Gall, and another student who's currently in the program. And so they talked a lot about what the program meant to them and how they experienced it. So there are many ways that you can connect with current and former students in the program.
Perfect. So chats just keep coming in. So this one says, do any of the courses qualify for the BC Future Skills Grant?
I think that one's for you, Layla. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure. I would probably say to check the RRU website for that.
Yeah.
You might have to look into that one and get back to you.
I'm sorry. I do not know the answer to that question, but we will look into it. Rhett, can you do a little dive on that one? Thanks.
Yeah, no, we'll check it out.
While he does that, we have one more question. It says, can you give some examples of jobs graduates of the program are working in? I live in Victoria, transitioning from a career in education to climate change.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, my mind is exploding right now because there are so many examples. So I have one student who's working in the insurance industry. And of course, this is critical for them. I have students in Environment and Climate Change Canada. I have former students in the BC Environment Ministry. I have many students working in non-governmental organizations, either in education, research, or policy. What else? I mean, there are so many. I have a student who's working in a mine, and students are working not just in environment ministries, but also, for instance, in energy, mines, and resources. I'm sure it has a different name now, but in all kinds of different government departments. And I do also have students working internationally on the Framework Convention, on the IPCC, on various places like that. Rob, I'm sure you have some in mind also.
Yeah. I mean, I think once again, might be worthwhile just to point back to the video that we don't know when it's going to get released, but it's a really good one because Leighton shares his experiences about how through the stuff that he's learned and through this course pathway, he's ended up working at the Cascade Institute, which is at Royal Roads, and does a lot of work around climate change research. So it's got him into that sort of research pathway. So it's a great example.
Yeah. Alternative energy, indigenous clean energy. So many places where our students are working now. I can't even remember them all, but there's a lot of them. They're throughout. Both in Canada and abroad. Thanks, Rob. Oh yeah, lawyers, journalists. I could keep going.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to quickly plug the Eco Canada job board, because if you're ever looking to see the variety of environmental jobs that exist.
That's a great idea. I love that job board.
And we just had one more question that comes in that says, will not having the credential evaluation report be an impediment to being admitted to this program?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't hear it properly.
No, it's all good, Leslie. So they're saying will not having a credential evaluation report or a WES or ICES be an impediment to being admitted?
Yeah, you need to have an undergraduate degree to get in on standard admission. If you don't have that, we'll consider it for flexible admission. So I guess the answer is it would be good if you had that. If you don't, we'll take a look and see if you would qualify for flexible admission. I think that's the only way I can answer that. Anything more to add, Rhett, to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure specifically what that report is, but yeah, like we said, if you don't have the standard admission, meet the standard admission requirements, yeah, we look at anything from accommodation of the education that you do have and potentially volunteer experience, work experience. So there's a number of things that could go into your application package that we could look at that say, okay, yeah, this student meets, what it takes to be in this program based on X, Y, Z. And like we said, it could be work experience, volunteer experience, combination of education. So yeah, I'd say
the report is an equivalency that looks at credentials from outside the country and identifies an equivalency, whether it's a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. And that's, many students do have that, and that's presented as part of their admissions package. If you don't have that, I'm not sure how we deal with that, but we can try.
Lovely. People seem to be very engaged. People have questions, just keep coming in. So this one's great. Of AI, is this getting incorporated into the CERT in any way, for example, in relation to modeling, risk, and community planning?
Yeah, all of the above. and some that we haven't even thought of, like Indigenous generated AI. I've got a student working on the implications of AI for Indigenous communities. I don't know, I've just got an odd message about switching my microphone, which I don't want to do. Sorry.
Yeah, we can still hear you good. Yeah.
Yeah, so Rob, anything about AI in your course?
In terms of like actually applying AI, at this stage, we haven't actually designed any assignments for applying any AI technologies to any of the assignments or activities. But you know, truth be told, that like might and likely will change in like future iterations, and you know, part of the reason is because I'm just going to talk about some of the other courses I've taught. We've actually worked with the use of ChatGPT just to create things like scenario narratives, and just this idea of creating like qualitative scenarios that folks can use to try and figure out if we're to do some sort of climate action, locally speaking, then what might be the potential outcomes of it. Now, we use this in a bit of a critical sense. So when we do these scenario narratives, we pump them out and sort of say like, okay, so what's useful about this and what's not useful about this? I mean, these are evolving technologies, and so you're kind of approaching it with not just saying like looking at the output, but also looking at the technology itself and saying like, does it have application here? And yeah, as I was mentioning, I use this in other courses, and it's you know, through revisions of this course, we'll probably, or I'm already thinking about bringing it in there. So yeah, in future iterations, I can see that.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun to pursue that throughout the program as your particular interest. You could do your research on that, which would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the other thing. You certainly could definitely do a review of the AI and machine learning work that's being done out there. It is something that's being done in my research right now. So I do have like, you know, postdoctoral researchers that are using like machine learning techniques to, for instance, look at what agricultural landscapes will look like in the future in BC. So it is definitely something that I've been working on the research on my end. So, you know, if it's something that you're interested in, and you know, you go through the course and you say like, hey, you know, I really want to get into this, not just for my research project, but also really would love to do an internship on this that kind of exposes me to some of this stuff. But you know, that could be something that you might want to talk to me about.
That would be great. Thank you. These are great questions.
I think that is the end of our questions. I haven't seen any more come in, but I just wanted to
Oh, sorry.
everyone so much for it's all good, Leslie. I wanted to thank everyone for being so engaged and so sending in so many questions. We'd really love to see that. And again, thank you again to Leslie, Rhett, and Rob for your time today, and thank you for everyone for coming. We also have a bunch of upcoming webinars and events, so be sure to check out the events calendar on the Eco Canada page to see what's coming up. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Thank you very much, Layla. Thank you for your excellent organization of this webinar. And thanks to all of you for attending, and thank you for your excellent questions. And I hope I'll see you in the program. Don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.